Invest in cleaner transport and your financial goals with Index IQ, aligned with National Wildlife Federation. Invest in the cleaner ETF at clnretf.com.
Consider the fund's investment objectives, risks, charges, and expenses carefully before investing. The prospectus includes this and other relevant information about the funds and is available by visiting iqetfs.com. Read the prospectus carefully before investing. Alps Distributors Inc. is the principal underwriter of the ETFs. NyLife Distributors LLC is a distributor of the ETFs. Alps Distributors Inc. is not affiliated with NyLife Distributors LLC. NyLife Distributors LLC is a member FINRA SIPC.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Stickbow Chronicles, brought to you by Black Widow Bows. Big shout out to Toby. Killed a heck of a good whitetail the other day. Yeah, it was a great buck. What's going on? This week we've got Steve Stivalley from Getting Stickbow Close. We talk whitetails, Kansas. I think he was over in Kansas, but we're all over the map. He's a big whitetail guy. And does a great job. Promoting traditional archery through his DVDs and videos. We talk about that a little bit. But yep, great fun visiting with Steve. Not a lot happening here. Let's see. Yeah, not a lot happening here. Unfortunately, it's whitetail season, and there's not a lot happening here. I've been out, but still got a couple tags in my pocket. Haven't been able to notch them. Don't have a lot. Got to get after it myself. So just want a big shout out to the sponsors. And all our episodes, you look at the show notes, there's hyperlinks to our sponsors. We appreciate them supporting us. I hope that you like this show, you'd support them. And there's also some discount codes in those show notes. So give it a look. So I want to thank Selway Archery, the Footed Shaft, Cafaro International, Backwards Grind Coffee Company, and, of course, Black Widow Bows. Like I said, check those show notes out. Even if you don't need to order something, just give them a shout and say, hey, thanks for supporting the Stickbow Chronicles. I hope you all have a great week. I hope you are able to get out and chase them whitetails. Whatever you're doing, good luck. That's all I got. Roger out. I don't want people to...
You're too professional.
Yeah, I think expect too much. Keep people's expectations low, and I will never disappoint them.
I don't know. I think that people's expectations start getting pretty high with Stickbow Chronicles.
Oh gosh, I hope
you guys
not.
are really. You guys are doing great, though. I mean, obviously, it's definitely one of the better ones there. So, I mean, you should be proud of it.
Oh, thanks. I am, and it's just amazing when I'm getting, emails. I got a really cool email the other day from a conservation officer in Kentucky who had just found the podcast. I think he said a few months earlier, and he was commending us for, hammering on, it doesn't matter what size deer you shoot, a doe, forked horn, it all is an accomplishment. And he really liked that message. And yeah, that was super cool.
Yeah, man. I mean, there's a lot of good things coming from it, and it sounds like a lot of people are really, that are new or are responding well and learning and picking up things here and there. So
the amount of first trad kills we're getting in this year are just a little bit overwhelming, to be honest with you. I have somebody helping me out on the Instagram page. Because especially when I got sick, I was like, hey. They offered several times, and I was like, well, if you could do the Instagram. So I gave them the email and the Instagram login, and just, I don't even know what's up there anymore. They're just rolling in.
And what blows me away, and, I've obviously seen all the posts, and, I don't know if you noticed this, but it's like first trad kill. First of all, it's a nice buck. Second of all, 33-yard double lung. I'm like, wait,
Yeah.
that first trad kill?
Yeah, no joke.
I think that's the influence of the new style of shooting coming along, a little different than what we have been doing. But.
For sure. And another thing is a lot of these people, and by the way, we're just rolling into this if you're okay with that.
Mm-hmm.
Another aspect is that a lot of these people are already successful hunters. So one buck sticks in my mind. This guy shot a crazy big mule deer buck a couple of years ago and sends it in. It's his first trad kill. Well, I started looking at his Instagram account. The guy had been killing bucks like that for a few years with his compound. So, I mean, these are a lot of them are experienced hunters.
Right. Yeah. He's been following his steps for, and being successful his whole career. And then this was just, taking it up a notch, bringing it to the next level.
We did get one though yesterday, I think it was. And so I was on my own Instagram account. I don't know what's being posted on the Stickbow Chronicles account. And I come across this one. 11 years the guy had been in hunting, and I think he killed a doe. And I just thought that was so cool that somebody stuck it out for 11 years. And he was a younger guy. I was just so stoked for that, and I put some message up like, way to stick it out or something. But
yeah, I mean, it's where a lot of people would have bailed on it. And I mean, I'm sure you've come across people like I have who, man, they jump in, chest deep, and this is the best thing you could ever do. And then they're good people to know, because you get a lot of good deals when they move on to the next thing in 2 years.
Yeah, for sure. But you know what? It goes back to that email I got from that conservation officer. Is what's portrayed, and it's not on purpose a lot of times, but what's portrayed on social media is, like, I'm the only person that has not killed a deer yet this year, or a nice buck, or, it gives that impression of, well, everybody's doing it. How come I can't?
Yeah. But I, kind of like when we started, when there wasn't a lot of, we didn't have any of this stuff. I mean, like I use, for example, my wife's nephew, Jason. He's a new bow hunter, and he's been at it a couple of years, and he wants it, and he's going out there without anybody holding his hand. He doesn't mind calling or texting for advice. We brought him to Ohio with us a couple of years back, and he was a sponge. And he's out there, and he took this week off. It's the last week of the Pennsylvania bow season, and he's out there hammering away. He hasn't killed anything, he hasn't had a shot, hasn't had any shot at anything illegal, but he's out there just grinding it out. And
how old is
the
he?
Mindset. He is in his mid to late 30s, and he didn't get started till late.
Yeah.
And actually he has two young boys that, he's getting, he gets them out there in the blind with him, and, he's just kind of running with it on his own. And that's the kind of people that, down the road are gonna be successful, because if you want it, you go get it. If you want it handed to you and it gets put in your lap, then you're not going to appreciate it the way
exactly appreciate it. Yeah. You got something invested in it. You're earning it.
Absolutely. Yeah, man. For me, I mean, I love to see his texts come through, and then, when he's looking for some advice, or he's telling me what he sees or what he's doing, and I'll say, hey, you might want to try this, you might want to try that, or when he comes up with something on his own, I'm like, good call, man. That's the way to read it. And, he's learning it, and, it's just going to grow and grow. I mean, he's out there slogging it out.
You there?
Yeah. You got me?
Crap. No. Yes. That was, for some reason, my Bluetooth picked up on some earbuds, but you were saying he grinds it out.
Yes. Yep. He's just out there grinding it out on his own, by himself. And took, I think I don't know if you caught it, but he just took the last week off of work of the Pennsylvania archery season, and he's out there every day, just trying to tag any legal animal that gets to him. So he's working at it.
Oh, that's cool. That's
yeah,
cool.
man. I love to hear it. I love to see it.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember as a kid, and I was fortunate because my dad put me in some good spots when I was a young kid, and I had some early success. When I grew up in New Jersey, even during the early gun season in the area that I hunted, it was either sex. So you could shoot a doe, and that was awesome because I got to at an early age have some success and be happy with what I harvested. But it also getting some early success and then really starting to just really start to get the desire for being around big deer and big bucks, and that's where the flame starts at an early age, and I don't think it ever goes out.
No, and I do believe that earning it has something to do with that planting that seed, that burning desire.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, if it comes easy, it's I don't know if it stays with you. I don't know. I mean, I can tell you just like today's the last day of my vacation. Was a great night. My wife and I just had a nice little dinner. We had a couple glasses of wine and winding down, getting ready to go back to the salt mines tomorrow morning. And but I did get a hunt in this morning, and it was one of those mornings that nice and cold. We had a west wind, which was perfect, blowing our scent over. I had my buddy Timmy; he was filming me, and had 4 does come from the south, and started to come up into to where we were hunting, and had a little window, and then it just started bailing off the side of this hill, and I stopped this doe at about 15 yards. She was ready to bail, and then of course she took 2 more steps, got behind a tree. Now her vitals are they're blocked, so I lean back towards the tree. I'm still at full draw, and I let the string go, and my bottom limb hits my backpack, and the arrow flies over her back, and your reaction was my reaction. I just laughed, and I was like, I guess that's how my vacation's going to end. But it was cool. The only bad part was I think it was an iron will that's buried in the leaves someplace. So I guess I'll have to go back with a backpack blower and see if I can find that thing.
Oh yeah, a metal detector.
But yeah, it was a cool morning, and it's like, okay, well, hope the rest of the day goes better than that. But you know what? Clean miss, and my the first thing he said, did you hit something? I'm like, yeah, hit my backpack. So all good. But I mean, it's been a fun season so far, and had a lot of really good early action here in New Jersey. I mean, so I think I went through my first 5 posts, and I think I had deer under 10 yards the first 5 posts and could not get a shot, which has never happened to me before in my life. But it was great just to have, knowing that you chose the right stand, you're in the right spot. We had a great year for acorns too. I know we had spoken before. You guys don't have any of that good hard mass drop, and man, when you get those, that can be so much fun. Just how crazy the whitetails go for white oaks, and it just didn't work out. But that was the beginning of the season, and it was a good time, and like I said, a lot of close calls. And
well, before we get too carried away, we got to introduce you. I know we just started rolling because I was in a rush, and I got to thank you because you're on the East Coast and I'm on the not really the West Coast, but I'm in Pacific Standard Time, and I set land speed records getting home because I was a little late.
It's all good.
You have any of my cop friends hear that? But anyways, I appreciate your time, Steve. Getting Stickbow close. You've been on before. I don't remember what episode it was, what number episode, but why don't you just tell a little bit about yourself, how you get started, just for guys and gals that hadn't caught any of the earlier.
My name is Steve Stavali. I've been bow hunting for 40 years. That seems like a long time.
What?
Yeah,
oh yeah, wait a minute, me too.
You too, right? Yeah. Started at the heels of my dad. Pheasant hunting in New Jersey, and he was a big bird hunter, and then under his wing with deer hunting, and it's funny, this path that you take. Like, I have an older brother, and he hunted a bit when he was a kid, and just the bug never bit him, and bit me hard. So I think my dad thought he was a bit of a hunting nut when he was growing up, and when he was newly married, and he did, when he was still alive, he would shake his head and say, I was never like that. And I remember when he wasn't doing well, later on, and I was at the hospital, visited him, and it was Saturday afternoon, and he said, how come you're not hunting? I said, well, I said, I don't feel like it. And he looked at me and said, liar. But it was important to be with Pop, and and he really started the fire for me, and then unfortunately it's burned out of control because the desire to be in the woods, and the fun of chasing deer. I mean, I don't have a lot of high mountain adventures, and chasing goats and ram, and I've been a whitetail hunter basically my whole life, and that's what I really enjoy, and it's what I really love to do, and that's where I cut my teeth, and that's where I'm comfortable, and but I think I had mentioned to you, I do have a desire to be out west and to try to hunt elk, and I'll use that as a key word of try. We were out west this year, and I won't blame you, but I
want to hear where this goes.
Well, let's say I won't blame podcasts, because when you're an Eastern guy and you want. It's not that I'm not sure if I have the desire to hunt elk. I want to try it, and I want to see if I like it. And I try to soak up as much information, as much knowledge as I can. And obviously podcasts are great for that, especially for somebody who drives around in a UPS truck all day. And I can burn through podcasts pretty quick, so I have to space them out so I can get them throughout the week. But it's do you pack in 7.5 miles? Do you hunt from your truck camper? Do you? And it's overwhelming. And I'm found out. Went out this year, and I confirmed something, that I stink at elk hunting.
This is your first time, though, right?
No, it's my second time.
Oh, geez, you should be an expert.
Well,
listen to the podcast, and it's your second time. You didn't kill anything. What the hell, Steve?
Well, it would be. I don't care if I kill anything. I'd like to see something. So that was really the tougher part. And you listen to. I've heard Aaron talk, and it's like, yeah, where do I go to shoot a 320 bull? I'm like, I will kill a cow the first day, the first hour of the hunt. I mean, I'm looking for. Yeah, man, I'm just looking for a legal animal, and but it was a lot of fun. I mean, we hunted hard, and hiked around. We did hunt, from a tent, and which was fun. But we, from the truck, and broke out in different areas every day, and hiked a couple miles in, found nothing, and hiked back out, and went someplace in the afternoon and found nothing, and the one thing I can definitely say that I learned from it was you gave me great advice. The Scarpa boots were awesome because I did put on a lot of miles.
Cool.
And your advice was great because
Cool.
they were excellent, and ran a couple. Ran hard in them before, broke them in nice. And one thing I didn't worry about the whole time was my feet. So
That's awesome.
That was a solid.
Which ones were they? Do you remember?
I think the GTX.
Yeah.
Scarpa GTX.
Yep.
Yeah. They were a little weird to get used to, and but I ran it before, like in the summertime. I was like so worried because there was like, make sure you break your boots in. Boots are important. So I ran a couple 5Ks in them just to like
Did you really
handle them? Yeah, I was like, screw it. I'm like, I'm an everyday runner, so I run with my dog every morning, and we do usually like 4 miles every morning, and that's kind of my workout. I know you're a gym guy, and so a couple of days I was like, well, let's see what these things can do, and let's see if they hurt. And after the first 5K, I'm like, well, if it didn't hurt doing that, I think I'm good to go.
That's awesome.
So I got one thing crossed off with as far as elk hunting goes. I was like, I got the boots. I don't have anything else. Well, I got the bow. I got the bow. I got the boots. And
did you do any? Did you? I'm sure you did some filming, didn't you?
Out there, actually, we had all the gear. You need something to film.
Wow.
So landscape is nice, but you can only watch so much of that. I did film some a sheep herder guy. That was pretty neat. And then I found out that the elk don't want any part of the sheep and the dog. So that was there you learned something else. I'm gaining knowledge.
Yeah, you going to go back to 2022? Somewhere? Somewhere?
Yeah. We've been putting in for Arizona for a while, and one of my buddy Eddie, he's got 10 points, so I'm really hoping that he draws. And then another friend of mine and I have been putting in for Wyoming. We've got about 5 points there, so that could be possible. But I'm at this point, if I hooked up with somebody who knew what they were doing, I might just go out without a license and just go hack for them and maybe learn something. But
did you? Whoa! Time out. Back up. Rewind. Did you just say pack for him?
Well, I gotta learn somehow, right?
Well, we might be able to work something out.
Yeah. Well, listen. You point the direction. I'll carry the sundowners for when the hunt's over, so we can have something. And I'm a sponge when it comes to that. But yeah, it was a lot of fun, and man, just the landscape is just so beautiful, and you take a picture and you turn around another direction and you take another picture, and it's like, whoa, come on.
Yeah, that's it. I know from experience. That's an East Coast guy, just like drinking it in, just appreciating what's around him. I know from experience exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, dude, it's jaw dropping. I mean, it really is, and it's just neat. And listen, it wasn't it was a learning lesson, and I had some of the guys I was with, they have some elk experience, but we did see some moose, which was really cool. And, saw a chocolate phase brown bear, black bear, which was really cool. And, just kind of figuring it out it's all part of the game.
Yeah. So how long you been shooting, traditional?
Oh boy. Too long. Not long enough. Since I ordered my Black Widow in 1991. So I started shooting February 92.
Yeah, that's right.
So,
That's right. When we talked, we're close. Our paths kind of like mirrored each other. Yeah, that's right. I forgot about that.
Yeah, and really, I've been shooting basically the same rig since then.
Wow. Black Widow's not making any money off of you.
Well, no, they're not. Well, I don't know if you heard though that with all these grips that they have, they got the.
They're gonna come out with a Stively grip.
Stively. Well, Stivali.
Stivali.
Yeah, but listen, when you order it, just stay standard. That's what they they haven't crossed it over. Yeah, standard grip. So that would be my grip, standard. It was, at least it's with an S. So yeah, no, I love the bow.
What lit the fire in 92 for traditional, because that was not really a high time for traditional.
It was prior. I mean, like I think I had mentioned on the past, but yeah, just to rehash for people, I was kind of in love with trying to hunt big bucks since I was a teenager, and a neighbor friend of mine, he had some of the original Barry Wenzel and his early videos, whitetail traits, tracks, and trophies, and that's an early one that people don't even have. I actually have them copied on VHS, and I went on their site to see if they had DVDs, which they don't. So I have one of those DVD VHS players still somewhere in the basement. And so this winter, I'm like, I got to play those things. And I started putting it in and started eating it. And I'm like smashing this thing to try to get the tape out. So I think I'm going to try to bring it to one of those guys that converts it. But I've probably watched bow hunting October whitetails 1,000 times. And, and that kind of sparked the traditional flame for me was watching, seeing that, you could do it with a traditional bow. And then the Black Widow part of it was that little ad in Bow Hunter magazine that was probably a 2x3 inch of a gray bark leaning up against a tree.
Oh yeah.
And
I remember that.
Yeah. And that was the beginning, man. And I just saw that and I'm like, I didn't know. I didn't try one. I just was like, yep, that's the one I want. And I think I mentioned this to you last time. I had a couple times where I had the 7-year itch where, I tried a couple different bows, and I think we did a couple of the same path. I think because I did have a Dale dye for a little while.
Oh yeah.
Yep. And I shot it well, but I always went back to my gray bark, and it's also had like the vision of like to maybe shoot a longbow one day, and I have one, and I shoot it pretty well, but when it comes to crunch time, I know what I want in my hand. So,
man, I've probably only shot half a dozen arrows out of a longbow in all those years. I just never have been interested in longbows, but early on, you talk about seeing the ad in Traditional Bow Hunter magazine and stuff. Early on for me, it was, the name just escaped me. Dan Quillian.
Oh yeah, sure.
Yeah, I just drooled over, what was it? Canebrake, and never did pull the trigger. Kind of kicked myself because he was a legend.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Yeah. He was a legend.
Yeah. I mean, there's so many, there's so many influences that people, it's funny. A lot of these guys are still around and still going, and it's, I'm reading Marv's latest book now, and it's, guys have been in it for so long, and it's just awesome that the fire still burns. It's funny when we were out in elk hunting, and we were truck camping, and you never know who you're going to be camped next to. Weirdest thing. So we see there's a camp next to us. They're about 50, 60, 80 yards away. I don't know. And here they come one day walking through. What's the guy got on his back? Black Widow. And his son's carrying a Damon Howitt. And I'm like, oh, geez. Nice. So right next to camp. So we actually, of course, we invite him into camp. We're having dinner, and I texted the father, who is 73 years old, and he's out there blasting away with 2 trekking poles and is probably tougher than I'm ever going to be, but he's the kind of guy you strive to be. They went out and spike camped him and his son, and I was like, well, what's the odds of us being next to two more traditional guys?
Well, it's getting better and better every year. I can tell you that.
Yeah, man. And it's, and it was great because we've been in contact and we kind of became friends. And, I shot him some pictures of Kansas this year, and he's a Wisconsin guy. And it's funny. Here's a quick little story. We're at the campfire right in camp. And, one of my buddies, Larry, we're all talking together, and they asked this guy, Bob, what he does for a living. And he's like, well, I'm a retired wildlife artist. And he's like, really? He's like, well, what have you done? And so he had these prints his name is Bob Schmidt, and he had these prints in Bowhunter. Well, it turns out that my friend Larry, who's talking to him, owns two of his prints and bought them out of Bowhunter magazine.
No way. That's crazy.
Yeah, it's not nuts or what? So he's
That's
like,
crazy.
yeah, I forget the names of them, but he's like rattling off the name. I think the guy almost fell over. That's it. Somebody had known his work, and
that's awesome.
Yeah. So that just made the elkless hunt even better.
Okay, so tell us real quick what your setup is, how many pounds, and what your shooting technique is.
Well, I'm an instinctive shooter, and my bow, it's a 62-inch gray bark, and it's 58-29. Basically been shooting. I have a couple sets of limbs, but my original setup was 56, and those limbs, after tens of thousands of shots, they finally went. Toby fixed them once, and I hunted with them another 2 years, and then it was just time to retire them. But I was able to get a couple clones that fit the bill and jumped right into place and never missed a beat. So so that's my bow setup, and my arrow setup is I'm an aluminum guy. Love them. My bow loves them, and they fly great for me. So if it ain't broke, don't break it. That's my kind of my motto when it comes to archery equipment. So I don't have to do I don't have to worry a whole lot about my setup. It's pretty much rock solid. It doesn't change at all. I shoot all year round, so it's never like there's no fiddling. I think the only fiddling that I've done is broadhead wise, and I had mentioned I've been shooting Woodsman's for, I think 2009 was when I kind of switched over to them, 2010, and I did our brand Iron Wills this year, and they're good. I mean, I have really good success with them. They fly really well, and had some positive shots from them. So that one of the does that I killed was not a perfect hit, and she went 75 yards. So yeah, pretty pleased with those. But that's my basic setup. I don't know anything else I missed there, but yeah.
And you're predominantly a whitetail guy. Excuse me while I stuff my face.
No, it's okay. Let me have a sip of bourbon.
Perfect. And you do a lot of videoing. How'd you get into videoing?
Yeah.
And give it a plug, right? You getting stickbow close.
Yeah, I mean, yes, that's another thing that kind of the fire gets lit, and then you kind of get a little, you get a kind of obsessed with it because, the memories in your head, but man, when you can put them on tape, and which is not an easy thing to do, it's a lot of fun. Yeah, my partner Jimmy Picaro, who's when we're done, I'd like to talk about the value of a good hunting partner, but it was his idea, 100%. He saw what back when the Drury's were starting, and he's kind of said to me, we should do that. I'm like, what are you talking about? He's like, yeah, we could film hunts. I'm like, I had never even, I was just worried about trying to kill something, let alone trying to get it on tape. But man, it's a blast. When you're filming for people or being filmed, it sucks when you're self-filming, because when you're carrying around all that equipment and trying to make it happen, trying to get your shot. But yeah, that's how we got started, and it's kind of it's done really well. People seem to like it, and I never thought we would sell our first run of our first DVD, and it's been through, I think, 4 printings now, or probably going on 5, and people still want it, and it's really humbling and really awesome that we still get, I'll post a picture, especially, after Kansas this year, and it's like, I'll get like, getting Stickbow close 6 ? We gonna get another video? It's like, wow, it's pretty cool that, people like it, and we're far from professional. I mean, we do our best, and the camera is way smarter than I am, and I probably haven't even scratched the surface on what it's capable of. But when you catch it on film, it's pretty neat.
Well, if you're saying you're less than professional, well, you're on the Stickbow Chronicles, so we're running parallel paths.
Okay, yeah. Well, I like that because it makes me feel comfortable.
Yeah, there you go. You've been hitting Kansas for quite a long time, haven't you?
We have, yeah. We've had this same lease since I've been going since 2002, and Jimmy he's been going. He went a couple of years before me, and he actually invited me out there. And then we've been ever since, and it's just an awesome place, and we're just so fortunate to have a place that we're kind of like extended family now with the landowners. We're the only ones that hunt the land. It's a completely DIY, and we do our own thing. But it's just the opportunity to be around unpressured deer, and it can be amazing. But when you do go out to hunt, that's keeping hunting unpressured deer is great, but keeping them unpressured and feeling without feeling pressure is the part that a lot of people, I think, struggle with, because when we get out there, we are trying to keep it as super low impact as possible on the landscape for the deer. I know that we used to stay in this little bed and breakfast, which was unbelievable. It was a very old lady. We were probably her last customer she ever had, and we could just fly under the radar. We just came and went, and nobody knew we were there other than seeing some New Jersey plates here and there. So now we had to move to a little motel, which we're a little more visible, and there's an outfitter there, and guys trying to kind of poke around. How you doing? What are you seeing? So that's a little. We don't love that, but it's we just kind of do our own thing, and we try to keep it simple, and that's basically how we attack our spots every year, and it has lots to do with our entrance and exits, and controlling scent, and playing the wind, and just trying to do the right thing, and keep the deer comfortable.
So what is your scent control? Do you have a regiment? Because I do. Oh yeah, I do find it interesting that how do unpressured deer react to your presence, and if a deer busts you, are you going to see him again?
Yeah, for sure. I can definitely tell you that we had a ton of instances this year where usually out there, especially in the prairie, usually you get a consistent wind, and we had some crazy winds this year when calling for a northwest, and we've got a dead east, and it's blowing all around, and we had deer dead downwind of us numerous times this week. And I mean, you may have seen a little bit of recognition or a little discomfort in their body language, but man, we got away with so much, which is great. And again, it's nothing nuts, but it starts every day with scent-free shower. Our clothes are washed and scent-free, so we keep everything in scent-free bins. There's you're not going. It's the simple stuff. You're not going to the gas station with your boots on. You're not going anywhere with your clothes on. You're not going to the luncheonette wearing your camo, and you come out smelling like 5 pounds of bacon. Just the stuff that guys just I don't know. I don't know if it's a little bit of laziness or just that they don't think it really matters. But I'm overboard with that, and you can someday maybe we'll do a dual podcast with my partner Jimmy and get him on, and he has clothes that I won't let him wear in a tree stand. I'm like, nope, you're not wearing that. That's too noisy, or so. But those things have really paid off for us year after year, and it's really just focusing on taking care of the things that you have control over.
Have you ever had an incident where a mature buck has busted you, winded you, and do you see him again? I'm just fascinated because hunting in the mountains, I'm hunting deer that don't typically smell humans, so I'm really curious what you find in that aspect.
Yeah, I mean, it also has to do with the time of the year we're there. So, you might get a buck that might get a scent that he doesn't like, but if they're in like the searching or chasing stage, I think you get away with a little bit more. I mean, we're not hunting them. We don't go out there in early October where a bad scent might be a little more detrimental to your hunt. But I think we just because of the time of the year and what the bucks are doing, I think we do get away with a little bit more. We've definitely been winded and had reactions, negative reactions, but have seen those deer again. But we also may have seen them. We might see them, 400 yards away at another set. So never had the terrible reactions where the deer was vanished and gone, but maybe just more cautious or unsure with the location. And, then that's also maybe us pushing an issue where we're running out of time and maybe hunting a stand that we shouldn't, also when you're getting ready to drive back, 20 hours home and you got to squeeze one last set in, and it's not the perfect wind, but you think it's the better spot. So, that might be the case. So, but yeah, nothing like where we've blown them out of the county and they've never come back. So yeah, but I think it has to do with all the other low impact things we do. So maybe they catch a scent, they don't know what it is, they bounce out, and they might calm down because there's really no further threat. If that makes sense.
Oh, sure. You've hunted that area, and we're talking about a big piece of property. I mean, you have a big piece of property area hunting, and you've hunted for so long. As far as your setups, are you hunting funnels? Or are you hunting food source? What do you got going on there?
No, yeah, absolutely. We're kind of each set is a little different. We have let's just take for where we started our hunt on day one, and you'll find as you hear me talk about our stands, we are super creative with our stand names. So this is our south stand, and I don't know if you can guess why, but it's at the south end of our property. So one of the keys really for this stand is we cross a cow pasture. We dump down into a creek. We come up the creek bank. We have almost a staircase of roots off the side of the bank where we are avoiding any contact with possible deer movement. And then we have a 50-yard straight walk to the set where we are avoiding every major run that would be hunting on that stand. So that's low impact, minimum disturbance, and the other cool thing about this stand is it has this weird little, not weird, but this little inside edge that was created probably before we hunted there, probably 40 years ago, because it was probably partially pasture at one time, and then the next growth came up, so there's lesser trees adjacent to bigger timber, and for some reason they love to kind of to hug that edge of those smaller trees, and that's where that north-south runner is created. So it's like a comfort zone for them, and unfortunately for them, we have a stand that's on the east side of that with a predominant west wind that is really just a killer setup.
Nice.
So getting in and out of there.
When you go in and out, are you using any spray or anything on your boots or?
Yeah, I mean, I'm a huge fan. We are huge fans and unsponsored, unless they want to, of Evercom. Huge
I've heard that
proponent
before.
of that.
I've heard that
Yeah,
before.
you probably heard it from me.
I've heard it from a few people.
Yeah. Dude, let me tell you, the stuff really, really works well. When we had deer use our trail, they have their nose to the ground like they're following another deer, and tails flat, little flick, total comfortable. Body language is super relaxed, no alertness, and so we hit it when we're down in that creek bed. We hit it before we come up out of the creek, and depending on the situation, we may hit it at the bottom of our stand when we exit, but it's usually not necessary. But yeah, it's I'm not really a huge believer in the sprays and things. I mean, I'm sure they work, but I think that we are so set up with our scent-free showers and scent-free laundry and things. I think we're pretty good shape there, so I don't really bother with the spray down. I don't know. That's probably mine freezes all the time, so I don't know. Isn't like 99% water? So, I mean, I have it, but yeah, I don't use that, but I do. I do use the Evercom, and I know it works because I've watched coyotes cross our path and not be alarmed. And if those guys don't bust, then you're doing something right.
Well, you killed a pretty darn nice deer this year. Walk us through that.
Oh, well, I can tell you that this year, last year in Kansas was an awesome year. We had 2 posts and we killed 2 mature bucks, and I think our total hunt time was about, I don't know, 5.5 or 6 hours of daylight hunting. It was awesome, but when you're out there all the time, we drove away, and I think I said to Jimmy, I was like, man, I feel like we cheated the system a little bit, or we cheated ourselves, and like it just, it's not supposed to. It was appreciated because we've grinded it out a lot when 20 mile an hour winds and it's 10 degrees and you're getting, Kansas winds do not give you a break, and but it was really a cool hunt. But this year I got the full rut experience, 100%. I mean, we started out that first morning, and we had everything. So it started out with seeing like I think we saw 4 bucks the first morning and a few does, and even on the edge of the prairie, a beautiful 6x5, definitely a shooter's, like 145 inch buck, just gigantic G1s. I mean, like 6-inch ones, and you're looking at them like, wow, chocolate rack, and it's like, this is how we're starting the trip. This is awesome. And we did see, some younger bucks that were, interested. I was like, okay, well, that's a good sign. It's just the beginning. So like I say, I got the full rut experience where I'm like, okay, you're starting to see the little guys. They're starting to get a little itchy. So that afternoon we went to the furthest north of our property. So Can you guess what that stand's called?
Maybe the North Stand.
Yeah, well, this is the far north now, because we used to have the North Stand, but we didn't know we could go further. So we
Dang
did
it.
change the name. Yeah, you're good.
Yeah.
We did change the name because every time we've gone there, the rest of the property could be pretty calm, and there's 20-mile-an-hour winds there. So we did change the name of that stand to the Wind Tunnel, because it's a ripper, man. We got there, but that's another set that's. The entrance on that one is, we do have to drive down a little ways, and then, but they're bedding in the east, so we bubble way out to the west, so we avoid being skylined, and you basically just you're kind of diving in, so you're out of sight and kind of out of their scent. But first night there, we get settled in. And there's 3, scrapes ripped up, a little scrape line where we've had scrapes for I found them about 8 years ago, but I'm sure they've been there for 30. Right after sundown, this giant 9-point walks out in the middle of the field, 150 yards from us, and typical of big buck. Goes out into an open field, nose wind, and just walks out there like totally comfortable, nobody's business. Throw a grunt at him, gives me a look, a little courtesy look my way, and just kept on going. And then, of course, after him on the fence line, even further away, another buck comes out, and I hit the grunt on him, and he jumps a fence and runs 200 yards to us, but he's a smaller 8-point. So, but it was great because you could see like the progression now. It's like, okay, so the smaller bucks, now they're starting to really go. The big bucks, a little kind of ignoring, and, it just keeps progressing. And like I said, it's just a great hunt because I'm getting to see everything, the next day I got small bucks work, following does. Now they're working some licking branches. And in the afternoon, we went back up to the wind tunnel, and we had some bucks chase does, a little bit of following, and
excuse me
happening
for just a second.
Yeah.
Now, what week is this?
We started our day one for us was the 5th of November.
Okay.
Yeah. So, which is, we usually start a little bit later, but, we just decided to, go and, get out there because the weather was supposed to be good. It actually warmed up, of course. It's typical Kansas for us is, we've gotten some brutal cold days, brutal cold mornings, and we've also had, mid to upper 70s.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So, I mean, it's continuing on now, and then we're seeing some younger bucks that are starting to run, and you can see them. They're like in the search stage, and the next day we're seeing, 6 bucks, and I had a 3.5-year-old standing at 8 yards broadside, and probably I don't know, probably like a 130 class, 125.
No kidding.
Yeah, just pretty buck, but you could see he, this is 9 o'clock in the morning, and he's running, and then after him, here comes a 2.5-year-old running from the south with his mouth wide open. It's like, so now it's like, okay, these bucks are starting to perk, and it just keeps progressing along. So, we get the afternoon of, let's see, when was that? What was the 8th, like day 4. We were in the stand that, all right, here's our one creative name. It's called the Catwalk.
Oh.
And the reason why we call it that is because our old north stand, there was a run that just went alongside of this creek, and it was kind of like just a thin path, maybe about 4 feet long. And these big bucks used to just walk up and down it like they were prancing on the catwalk. So that's kind of where that name came along. But, great afternoon. We get in there and we get set up. It's comfortable. Now we have does feeding out in front of us at like 40, 50 yards. I'm like, this is great. It's 4:15. We've got live decoys in front of us. And then the doe looks and turns, and she's looking to the north. I'm like, what is this? Is this a buck coming after her? Well, here comes a hiker that we've never seen. We don't ever see people there. So here comes a hiker. So she blows out, and the little buck that was near her, he just starts running after her, following. And there was a big buck coming in close, so he sees them running. He just starts running because he sees that. So now I'm watching this hiker on my binoculars, and he comes through the path. He's looking at his phone, so I don't know what he's following, some geocache thing, I don't know. So, I'm following him with my binoculars, see what the heck he's doing. He gets down, he goes to the creek. Well, then he starts to take his pants down, so let me get my binoculars off of him. So I guess he decided that was a good place to take a leak. So, that was close of business for that night. I was like, geez, what else? But, and then the same stand, like, the next evening, similar time, similar situation. I hear something buzzing off in the distance. I'm like, what is that? And here comes a side-by-side ripping down. I mean, probably still 150 yards from us. And so it's like we never ever see people and or vehicles, and so we have those two encounters, but it's good because the deer really aren't totally blown away by it, and so we just kind of let it go, but yeah, man, it just kept going on, and the deer kept changing, and you could just kind of see the whole thing manifesting into what we wanted. So actually, it was cool. We had rattled in a big shooter that was kind of ran around and came in, jumped our fence line, left chasing that doe and that buck, and then did a loop. Ended up coming down the road, which I figure he's coming right to us, this little old, I guess it's like more of a bridle path, and then he jumps a fence and leaves, and then he goes out in the field. Then I rattle to him, and he comes charging in from 200 yards and works a scrape 20 yards from me that I can't shoot to. And so it's all fun stuff. I mean, it's just pretty cool. And had a little guy ripping up a Osage ball, eating it, which people don't think they eat them, but we filmed a couple of them ripping them apart. And,
really?
So that was pretty, it was pretty cool. Actually, it was funny. Like I remember, God, it must have been like 7-8 years ago, maybe longer than that. I get a call, and I'm like, I don't know, I was working, and it was like, I answered the phone, I don't know the number, and it's like, hey, this is Denny Sturgis. I'm like, okay, hi. And we had filmed, my buddy Jimmy had, I filmed him shooting this big, it was actually 172 inch. I think it was a 12 point, back in one of our, I think it was our first DVD. Yeah. And I filmed that buck, ripping apart like a rotted, hedge ball, Osage ball. And, then he wanted to use it in his, he was doing a seminar of like the strange things that deer eat. And he actually called and asked if he could use it, which he didn't need to do, but I thought that was totally cool of him, and being kind of an icon in the game, and so I actually thought I'm watching this deer shred this ball apart, and I'm like, I remember, maybe Denny needs some more footage. So, but that was so. I mean, that was cool, and then we did have a lot of different really really good response from rattling and calling this time, which we haven't had in a bit, which is which is always a blast. And actually I think the ninth, we did bring a decoy out and figured maybe we could get one of these good bucks to come close enough for a shot. And of course the ones that come in that day, I called in a little 8-point, and man, he did everything the way we wanted to. He came down the trail, would have given me a 12, 13 yard shot. and then he saw the decoy, and then it was kind of fun because he didn't know what the heck to do with it. And yeah, it was. So I mean, I had to snort wheeze at him a little bit, and just to see
what was it?
What he would do.
Was it a doe decoy or a buck decoy? Or?
No, it was a small rack buck decoy. It's bobblehead Bobby. So the head moves and the tail moves. So in the breeze. So yeah, he was freaked out. He did not like it. And then another little buck came, which was even smaller than him, and they just kind of stared at the thing for a while, which was fun. I mean, they didn't they didn't bust, they didn't really blow, they just didn't really know what the heck they were doing. So it's cool. Like I said, it's just keeping watching different stages of the rut and seeing what they'll tolerate and what they won't. And hey, listen, sometimes you might see the smallest buck, shoulder up and be like, I'm going to go kick this guy's ass. It's just the different personalities that they have. And, it was just super cool. But
yeah, it's funny you mentioned that because this week's episode with Jonathan Moreland, I think he was talking about how different the personalities of these deer are.
Oh my God! Yeah.
You see a mature buck do something, and a knucklehead like me it's imprinted. Oh, that's what big bucks do. But they really do have their own personalities.
Oh, dude, it's. I mean, they all have a fingerprint, and they're as different as you and I are, and somebody might push you, you might knock their block off. Somebody might push me. I'd be like, maybe later, and somebody else might run away, and it doesn't matter how big they are. I mean, we did have one pretty neat encounter of this big 9-point that we saw a bunch, and he was a solid, let's call him 145, 150 class, just for for reference. And it was low light, late in the night, and we probably had about 15 minutes left, and a really large 10-point came out, sort of like a 150 class, but just body wise, and stature. And they sidled up, and that 9-point, which was he was a big deer, really a mature deer, and he was like, no thank you, I want no part of that. And then there was a smaller 8-point that was maybe 3.5-year-old, I don't know, he might have been less, and he was like, what's up? He's checking it out. He was not, but yeah. So that big 10 bristled up, and the 9 didn't want anything to do with it, and the 8 was like, well, let's see what happens. And nothing happened. They ended up walking away. But that little guy, well, that little guy probably would have been hurt or whatever, because before we left, we were going to retrieve a stand, and I found half of a broken rack in the middle of a pasture that somebody lost because he decided to be a little too nosy. Broken off right above the pedicle and clean snapped. So yeah, so sometimes you get yourself a little deeper than you need to be. But
yeah, but I'd also say that there's a reason why a wolverine can drive a grizzly off a kill. It's attitude.
Oh, for sure.
It's attitude.
No doubt. No doubt. Yeah. No. Hey, listen, I'm glad that a buck like that gets his horn snapped off, because that means nobody's going to kill him, and maybe next year he's going to be a bigger badass, and we'll get him to do something dumb. But yeah, it's just total different personalities, and bucks and does. I mean, we had a doe with a button buck, and we saw them around a bunch, and she was definitely like a lead doe kind of. She was on top of everything. She picked us off in this new set we tried a couple of times that we are taking down because it's not in a good spot. but it's different. Just they just each march to their own, beat their own drum, and it's kind of cool to see. Just to see how they react and how they respond to each other. So
you're
fun stuff.
Yeah, you're so fortunate, and I'm glad you are, videoing all this stuff, because all of that interaction, not a lot of people, including myself, get to see that type of stuff.
No, and yeah, that is the really neat part about it, and the things that you do capture, and God, man, I it's something that I'd love to do, and I have so many hours of B-roll that I would just love to still sift through and really break apart. I mean, we've videoed bobcats, climbing dead trees, looking in the hole for squirrels, and badgers, and just the coolest stuff that even just the deer interactions and what they do, and it's just stuff that people don't see, and it's just something that we're lucky to be able to see, and then on top of that, well, you're used to it when we come from the east. Man, the stars are just amazing.
Yeah,
the skies being so clear, and we're in early in the tree. We're probably in an hour and 15 before it gets light, and when you put your head back against a tree, you're looking at the stars, and just coyotes are howling. It's like, where else do I want to be?
Exactly.
But yeah, so just kind of moving along with when we're getting towards the end of the hunt, we were up in the wind tunnel again, and I think we had 3 bucks by like 7:15, and one of them was on a doe, and now we're starting to witness lockdown, which we didn't expect to, but this big buck, this shooter buck, was on with this doe, and he wouldn't leave her, and we watched them for hours, and she'd get up, he'd get up, he'd lay down, she'd lay down, he'd lay down. He was not leaving. So it's, starting to lock down, which is, can be good, can be bad. If you can't get to the deer, it can be really bad. But if you're able to hunt in the areas where you've been really diligent and not alarming the does and keeping them pretty comfortable and keeping them in an area where they want to be, lockdown can be pretty productive. So that's coming towards the end of our hunt now. So we're like this is the morning of the day 6. So that was very encouraging. But our south stand is where the real funnels are and where the real pinches are, and that little inside edge I was telling you about. So I just made the decision because Jimmy didn't draw a tag this year. So it's totally my hunt. So I kind of make the calls. One of the great things of, I know that your buddy Jake, right, is your hunting partner.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, having a good hunting partner that you're on the same page with is I love it. So, I mean, I've hunted with a lot of guys, and it's funny because we have a quiz all the time. He doesn't know it, but I have a quiz all the time, and and I already have it's kind of, I guess it's kind of like Jeopardy, or I don't know, but I'll ask him questions that I have my answer. I want to see if his answer matches up, and it usually does. And it usually starts with, what do you think about this morning? What do you want to do? What are you thinking this afternoon? Why? And when he spouts out, we left the stand that morning, and we had 2.5 days left. And I said, what do you think about this afternoon? And he said, I think the south stand. And I said, I think we ride it out the whole way. And he said, that's what I'm thinking. I said, okay. So we made a conscious decision to use this pinch, because the south of this pinch we can hunt. The south of our south stand we can hunt, but we kind of leave almost like a sanctuary. We just try to stay clear away from it. Mm-hmm. The does are super comfortable there, and we know when it comes to the rut that the bucks are going to cruise it. They have to, because we know the does are there. So they'll come in and off the prairie. They'll work the creek bed north and south, and they are going to check it. So the chance of you seeing a good buck is really good. Whether you get them close enough is, that's just luck of the draw. So
I think that's important, though, because that's something that goes into elk hunting. When you say it's a sanctuary and you stay out of it, and the deer, the does are comfortable there. That's a lot how we'll approach an elk hunting area. There might be a canyon or the head end of a creek that if you're going to hunt that area, and we've done this multiple times in the past, you just stay out of it because there's elk there. They're bedding in there. Mm-hmm. You don't ever want to go in there and blow them out because you don't know where they're going to go, right? But you can hunt around it for 4, 5, 6 days, whatever. No, I think that's I just don't want you to. Go ahead.
Yeah, and doing the same thing, right? Being super careful.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I mean
that's your nucleus.
100%. Yeah. And I'm sure when you're coming to, the rut with the elk rut and the bulls are out looking, they know the same thing, right? They know where the cows are.
Yep. Yeah. So I didn't want you to breeze over that because I'm
still trying to find that place out there. So
I think that's a super important aspect.
Yeah. And we have it's sometimes it's difficult, especially if we're having a hard time because we could easily hunt that. We could easily get have a stand in there, and there's plenty of places that we could kill deer. And I think the detriment to our hunt would be greater for us to screw that up than it would be to keep it like almost untouched.
Yeah, and then as the hunt goes on, you may need to pressure that. You might need to get closer.
You may, but I think if we have the right weather and we have like I said, like when I got to see all these stages of the rut, I wasn't I never had the feeling like I have to be down there. I always had the feeling like, okay, we're in the right zone, and we know what's there. We know what they want to do. We hope we know what they want to do, and it's just a matter of the right deer, going, coming up or going down, and like I said, I felt in that last 5 sits that I would see a shooter. Whether I was going to get a chance at one, that's obviously a different story, especially for us with with our limited range.
Sure.
But so that was the decision was made that I'm going to ride that out the rest of my hunt. Jimmy had to leave Saturday morning at the latest, and I don't have to be worked till tomorrow, so I could have actually hunted till another 2 days, but it's I wanted to get it done with him there. So anyway, that was the goal, was to try to finish up. You got me, Rob?
I got you now. I don't know why I lost you right there, but you said that was the goal.
Okay. Yeah. No, my big sausage fingers hit some mute button on this headset. So
we'll forget.
Yeah, you can't give me technology. I don't know what the heck I'm doing. So anyway, so that afternoon was the kickoff of how we're going to just ride this game out. And, they were calling for severe thunderstorms, and we thought we were going to lose the afternoon, which, was okay. Well, wash even more scent out, keep us cleaner. And, but rained around 1:00, and we had a window till storms weren't supposed to roll back in till 6. So it was like, hey, let's get in there, grab our rain gear, take a chance. So we got all settled in, super quiet because it had rained at 1. It was beautiful, and got settled in, and we could hear thunder off to the west. And I'm like, okay, yeah, that's way out there. No problem. A little bit longer. That's getting a little bit closer. Oh, that's lightning. And here it comes closer. And then by 3:30, here comes the raindrops. So we've got the camera covered with a raincoat. We both have our rain gear on, and it's a downpour and thunder and lightning over our head. And we're trying to decide, are we going to get the hell out of here? What should we do? And then 20 minutes into it, I look to the north, and here comes 2 does ripping down from the north in the middle of a thunderstorm. And behind them is giant buck, and I don't even know what the other buck was because I couldn't take my eyes off this giant. I'm watching him. I don't even know if I took I grabbed the binoculars, and they run down south along the fence line, and then they come back up north, and I watch this thing walking up north behind a doe, and all I see is 12-inch G2, 10-inch G3, just a stud, big, huge buck. And I'm like, first thought in my head, I'm like, wow, that deer's got to be close to 170, and he just pretty buck and giant body. So, of course, that didn't work out. They busted out into the prairie. The only hope was there's this draw that runs down, and it runs northeast, and sometimes they'll hit that draw. They'll go down towards the south and swoop back up the south from the south to us. Didn't happen, but it's what kept us warm while we were wet and cold. So the thought of that, but two other lesser bucks came from the same area and ended up hitting the antlers, and they came running in, and just two smaller bucks, but it was a great response, and they were just kind of satelliting around, and that was kind of the afternoon. That was kind of the end of it, which was cool, because that was the biggest buck we had seen the whole trip, and kind of get you jump started when you see how things are happening, and there's a big guy like that around. Makes you think that you might have a chance at him. You don't really think so, but it's like, cool, maybe it happens. So so we get out the next morning nice and early. We get in the stand, and 7:15, we're about 40 minutes into daylight. The camera stand faces the north. I face the south, shooter stand. So I can see a little better to the north through the understory because the leaves still have leaves up out there, and I see some legs moving, and I see some deer. So I throw the binoculars up, and I'm like, wow. I go, there's that big guy from last night. And
nice.
Yeah. So I was like, oh my. So I can see he's on the edge of like lockdown. He's with a doe, and what does that little doe do? She walks down the run right at us. And I'm like, oh boy, here we go. So here she comes, and to speed it up, she gets to about 20, 25 yards. Now I can't even, she's so straight out the tree. She hasn't chosen her run yet. So I don't even know which side of the tree, because the tree we're in is large, which is great. Breaks up our cover, breaks us up really nice, gives us good cover. And so I see where she's going. I get kind of halfway turned, and I hear, yeah, and then you just hear branches breaking. He starts chasing her. I guess he's walked calmly behind her for too long. He has to run. He's just getting a little bit pissed off. So he runs by the stand at 4 yards, and he looks like an aircraft carrier going past us.
Oh no!
But so he goes by so fast. I can't even get my fingers on the string, which and then I can feel my knees start popping a little bit. I'm like, this is getting exciting. So they run down to the southwest east of us, and they stand at like 70 yards. Now we've got a northwest wind at like 15 miles an hour blowing directly at them. And this is where it comes to our scent control. I mean, the doe looked a couple times, but really not super like alarmed. I mean, she had her ears up. She's kind of looking our way. The buck didn't know or care what was going on. He was doing whatever she was doing.
Well, I've been there.
I threw it. Yeah. Last call. I took I don't use the powder for the wind direction. I love drifters. I throw a drifter up, and it probably goes half the distance, and it almost is almost going. If it was wide open, it would hit the doe. That's how the wind is at her. And yeah, and she was pretty calm, and she was, so while this is happening, a young buck runs from the south chasing a doe, and the doe just keeps going north, and he just stands around there because he sees something going on. So he's like, maybe he's still at that nightclub saying, well, if he doesn't want her, I'll take her. But so the doe settles down, and what does she do? Man, she starts walking at us, and she's coming nice and gentle, nice and smooth. She gets in an opening in front of me at 15 yards, and I'm turned. My feet are ready, and all she has to do is keep walking, and this guy's going to walk into an opening in front of me at 15 yards. Easy shot, a doable shot. And she starts to move through. The buck's coming up. I now have him quartering on at like 25 yards, somewhere around there. And he looks to his left, and he sees that little buck still standing there waiting. And he gets pissed off again. Yeah. Boom. Everybody goes down south. They start running. So it's part of that period where, the deer can be unpredictable with the chasing and the running and how they're going to react. So, they went down the south, and I'm watching the little buck, at 75, and the big buck's at about 150, and he starts, rubbing a tree, working a licking branch. And I was like, oh boy. And I'm watching them, and I'm looking at them through the binoculars, and there's, man, just beautiful to watch and seeing what they're doing. And, like I said, they don't know we're there or care. And they just drifted off. And that was really the end of that morning. And, which was awesome. I know that both incidents, I did have I'm usually pretty calm in those situations, but yeah, maybe it was cold out. That's why my leg was popping a little bit. But so we were both a little underdressed that morning. So after things settled down, we just kind of snuck out of there. Like, hey, let's get some food. Let's get another layer. Let's get right back in here. And because obviously it's a place we need to be. So that's exactly what we did. We got back in the stand early and settled in, and it was a little after 3, probably like 3:15. To the southwest of me, I see a deer. I look, it's a doe. I was like, okay, cool. And she starts filtering up, and I see another deer. I'm like, oh my God, there he is. So this is what I was saying about that sanctuary. She was so comfortable there. She wasn't leaving. She just felt at home. She felt no pressure, and her comfort made him comfortable, and he wasn't going anywhere anyway, because obviously she was coming in, or he was going to wait till she came in. So he was on her. So they started filtering up, and she kind of hugged the fence line, which is out to the west of us, and she's probably 55 yards from me, and she keeps working up. And fortunately, he stays inside, kind of like an inside buffer, and he just kind of knows that he's good to go. He's just going to watch her. He feels good because he's not. I guess he still feels like he's in some cover and not up, close to the prairie. And so she keeps moving to the north, and he's just kind of staying on the inside buffer. And I've got this window that I'm looking at, and I was like, man, if he comes in here, it's kind of a long shot, but it's something that I can make. And they can keep continuing, and he's just, you can just see his demeanor is totally relaxed, comfortable, not on edge one bit. So instead of hitting that hole that I wanted, he stays a little bit deeper, and he comes into another opening. Now I guessed him at like 32 yards, and he's standing there, and I just don't shoot that far. So I'm kind of resigned to the fact that, I'm not going to get a shot here. And so, my head starts working, and I'm like, man, you saw him 3 sits in a row. I mean, what are the odds of you seeing him again? And I'm just thinking, really not good. And so I got him in this big V of a tree, standing still at, I'm guessing, 32 yards. And And I'm like, you know what? I got the bow in my hand. I said, I'm just going to draw the bow back and probably let down, see how I feel. And, what I didn't do was tell Jimmy, hey, keep it on this deer. I might shoot, because I never really thought I was going to because of the distance. So, man, I just drew back and I got locked in, and I'm just looking at the deer, and I don't know what happened. There's just kind of a wave of calm, and I'm staring at a spot, and man, I was just rock solid, and I probably held for like 5-6 seconds, and I'm looking and kind of said in the back of my head myself, I guess I did, or maybe this is how I remember it, like kind of I can make that shot, and just dropped the string, and it went about 3 inches below I was looking. Immediately thought it was a heart shot, and he took off like a freight train, and I just knew as soon as the arrow hit, I'm like, I got him. Just knew I hit him good, and just crazy. Of course, I look up at camera, and first words out of Jimmy's mouth was, "I didn't get that." So, kind of a bit of a bummer, but with a deer that big, how mad can you be?
Sure.
So yeah, so we had some great work all week and got some unbelievable foot. He did really well, filming. What at that point, what can you say? The arrow's gone, and I feel like I made a good shot. So talking about a deer of a couple lifetimes. I mean, it's just really just great buck. So we gave him 45 minutes, and I got down and found the arrow, and only got about. I saw on the hit, I saw the arrow like kind of jerk, so what I assumed was opposite shoulder, and I only got about 10 inches of penetration, so wasn't that worried about that, just because I saw what the hit was. But then I started to get a little bit worried because the blood trail was super sparse, and I was following pin drops. It's funny. It's funny the things you think about, Rob, when you're getting that kind of blood trail. And I don't know why, but you might have popped into my head while I was blood trailing. And I think because you talk about being a good blood trailer and the things that you need to do to be a good blood trailer. So I think you kind of popped into my head. But the other thing was I was following pin drops, leaving a hat, doing little half circles, kind of shooed Jimmy off the side and kind of told him to go check this woodlot, because I really didn't want the blood trail messed up at all, and there was really no doubt, no reason for the two of us to be on it. So started getting towards dark, and I was getting a little nervous because obviously it was not a heart shot, and but I did see where it hit, and I really did feel good about it. So go back to the Stickbow Chronicles when you're worried, because they did a podcast about blood tracking dogs. So
there you go.
So I'm at this stopping point, and I'm like, this is the perfect situation for a tracking dog. And so what we did was, it got dark. I was like, because of this blood trail, I'm like, I thought the smartest thing was get the hell out of there. Don't bump him, because if he gets out in the prairie, I mean, he'd be in Never Never Land. I mean, you'd have to be lucky to stumble across him. So it was my call, it's my hunt. So I said, let's go. We know an outfitter. A couple people said, let's see if we can find somebody. So had some guys make some calls. I looked on the web a little bit. We ended up finding a guy through a guy we know, and got in touch with him. He's like, yep, no problem. I'm going to be at a place an hour from you. I can come afterwards. So he's like, I might not be there till midnight. I'm like, awesome. That's even better. I was hoping he was going to wait for the next morning, and then at 11:37, I get a text. I'm not going to be able to make it. So, we have no other. Yeah, it really was. But at that point, he said he was coming. So everybody else that I contacted, I just said, got somebody or we're good. So it was back down to the 2 Jersey tracking dogs for the morning. So, which is cool. And so we just decided first light, we got out there, and I decided to go south of where our stand was, the opposite direction of he ran, just to do a search down there, just in case he did a backtrack, just kind of maybe overthinking it a bit, but trying to cover all bases. And Jimmy did go up to the north of where he left off and was going to work south. And so anyway, I grid searched, nothing came up. Got to the spot where he stopped the previous evening, and I got into that piece of woods, and after one back and forth, I found him 50 yards from where Jimmy left off the night before.
Oh, man.
Yeah, and you know what? Like I said, it's 100% my call. And so I was really happy to find him, and the most unfortunate part was the coyotes found him first, and they did a pretty good number on him. So that was super disappointing because, it's not how you want to see, any deer that you're going to harvest, end up, but deer like that was just like, man, it's
where was the hit?
It was right where I saw those. I just don't know what it hit because there weren't any organs left, so I could only see where the hit was in the rib cage. So it was behind the shoulder. It must have been behind the heart and bottom of the lungs. That would be what I could tell from where the entrance was in the rib cage.
Oh,
so
yeah, I got you.
Yeah. I mean, maybe I'm not sure how most people would handle that, but I'm going to salvage everything I can. So I was able to get, meat from the shoulders and the neck, and I was, determined to take what I could. It's so disappointing to lose, especially giant back straps from this thing, but super thankful to recover them because knowing where the shot was, and if that was a deer we went home without locating, that would have ate me up for a long time. But it's part of the game. We've most people have been there. This is the first time I've ever had it happen. If it was a deer that I shot on a morning hunt, we would have found him, I think, relatively easily. But coming out of there at, leaving at night and taking a chance with the coyotes, the part that drives me crazy is that the rancher dumped a dead cow, like, I don't know, 80 yards from our tree stand that was untouched. Last year where we skinned and quartered our deer and left, what was left of the rib cage and guts and things on the ground. Nothing was touched it for 3 days. And, they find this thing after a couple hours and beat it up pretty bad. So, like I said, a little disappointing, but, it was just like a great hunt. Like I said, we got to experience the entire, all the stages of the rut and, kind of reinforced what we do. Just, like I said earlier, just those basics of the scent control, how we get in and out of our spots. Now we're not driving quads or side by sides, and we're walking. I mean, there's a couple of our sets that we're walking, 3/4 of a mile just to get to a deer stand, but it's just because we know that, from that entrance, we're dropping in dry creeks and staying out of where the deer are going to travel. It's just going to help you out in the long run. So, so was pleased that our week turned out that way, but unfortunately, some meat loss stunk. And,
yeah, I mean, when you put in as much time and as many years as you have, I mean, it's going to happen. Did you end up putting a tape to those horns?
I did. Yeah. He was just a great, he was a 5x5 with a row point off his, left G3 and a split brow. And he was, grossed out exactly 170.
Wow. That's a heck of a deer. That's
just a great buck, and something that just what we dream about when we go out there, and the chance to not only just to be in the same piece of woods as them, and but a chance to harvest them, and yeah, it's incredible, and what a great week, and just create new memories with a good friend, and and just enjoying the hunt, and man, just being out there and have nothing on your mind but the hunt and what you're going to do, just strategizing and the chess play and what you're going to do next. Man, there's just nothing better than that. And, it's not like, man, I gotta go get the leaves done. I gotta get the lawn done. I gotta do this. And man, there's just one total focus, and it's just, how we're going to get on these whitetails. And I mean, I'm just in love with that.
Oh, that's good stuff, man. That's good stuff. What are you going to do with the footage?
I really think that because he got some great footage of him over those 3 sits, so I think I can incorporate it into something nice that people might see kind of the progress of what happened, and kind of the pain that comes with that loss with the coyotes. But I'll put it together and see if I can make it work, and if not, it'll just be for me. But I think it's something I can put together that.
No, I think there's some value in it. I mean, showing the progression for sure.
Yeah, and then just that whole stage of the rut, even if it's short shots of just how it went along, and I think it's something that people would like to see. But yeah, we'll make something out of it.
Now, where can people find your videos?
Oh, and Three Rivers, Black Widow bows, right at our site, gettingstickbowclose.com. But that's where we are, and we do have stuff on YouTube at either my name, Steve Stavally, it's Stivaly. You can go right to YouTube. There's some stuff there, and I think that there's really going to be more stuff on YouTube in the future. I kind of think that's the way we're going to go. I mean, just to keep, unfortunately, it's getting expensive just to get DVDs out for the amount that we actually sell. So I think that might be the way, but the demand is, guys still want them. And I mean, I just put together an order for Three Rivers. They just ordered. So who knows? We're just going to, whatever people want, we're going to keep doing. It helps promote our sport. It helps promote traditional archery, and it shows that you might be able to shoot some pretty decent bucks. Maybe at a little disadvantage shooting stick bow. So that's kind of what we love to do.
Well, I would say in the beginning you said something about I don't want to put words in your mouth. You said something about it unprofessional, but when I watch your videos, it comes through that it's just genuine. It's just genuine. Blue collar guys getting out and having fun. Yeah. And I think that's really important. I enjoy it.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it's from the heart. I mean, it's anybody that spends a lot of time going after any animal. People don't realize how much you care for that animal more than most, and it's
sometimes more than other people in our society.
Sometimes,
yes.
Yeah. There's a lot of deer I'd go care for on the side of the road than there would be.
Oh, that's good stuff.
I got some people I work with that I wouldn't help out as much.
Oh, hey, where can people find you on social media? You plug your Instagram because you guys get some great content.
Yeah, it's Instagram is or at Steve Stavally or Getting Stick Bow Close, and Facebook pages, Getting Stick Bow Close.
Yeah, no, you guys put up some great content.
Cool, man.
Well, just like the first time, Steve, I enjoyed talking to you. Like, again, our paths are pretty parallel and just opposite ends of the country, and it's really cool sharing what you do, and I enjoy it.
Oh, thanks, Rob. And listen, if you need a packer, I work cheap.
Do you?
Yeah. Bottle of bourbon or whatever you guys bring for sundowners, I'm
Jiminy
good.
Christmas. Yeah. What's your bourbon? What's your go-to bourbon?
I'm drinking some barrel bourbon right now, but I'm equal opportunity. I'll try anything.
Maybe we might not. We might not. We maybe we shouldn't hang out.
Oh, are you sensing maybe some bad chemistry there?
Oh no! It's just the same chemistry.
No, that's what I mean. All right. Well, maybe we should just hang out.
A dry camp.
Worry about. Well, no. Just hang out, and then we'll just talk about camping.
There you go. Well, hey man, it's late back there, and you got to go back to work tomorrow. My sympathies there.
That's all right. 7 more months.
But who's counting?
Not me.
All right, man.
All right, buddy.
Yeah, you have a great evening. And again, thanks again.
You too. Pleasure talking to you again, and good luck the rest of your way.
Thanks.
Invest in cleaner transport and your financial goals with Index IQ, aligned with National Wildlife Federation. Invest in the cleaner ETF at CLNRETF.com.
Consider the fund's investment objectives, risks, charges, and expenses carefully before investing. The prospectus includes this and other relevant information about the funds and is available by visiting IQETFs.com. Read the prospectus carefully before investing. Alps Distributors Inc. is the principal underwriter of the ETFs. NyLife Distributors LLC is a distributor of the ETFs. Alps Distributors Inc. is not affiliated with NyLife Distributors LLC. NyLife Distributors LLC is a member FINRA SIPC.